So, welcome into your daily Buckeye Blitz for a Wednesday, the humping day, October 23rd, 2024. Hope you're doing well. Apologies for leaving you in the lurch the last couple of days. I just needed some time off to work on other shit. Uh, no big reason why. I'm kind of tired every day. Um, so I need to get some sleep occasionally and work. Gotta constantly dig up new work and stuff like that. So, anyways, just needed uh some time to chill. So anyway, um we talked to Ryan Day yesterday, the Ryan Day press conference. He was kind of cranky. Obviously, his first time speaking since the loss to the Ducks. So we're going to talk about the highlights from the press conference. I'll give you my opinion on what he has to say, and injury updates. We're getting a little banged up now, which is somewhat concerning. It's only, we're halfway through the season, and actually, he even talks about it. We could end up playing 10 games in a row. You will have a little break there after the Big Ten championship, but you have a week or two off before the next game in the playoffs start. So anyway, we're not even halfway through the season if we can go all the way to the championship game in the playoffs. So let's get into it here. Please, as always, hit the BuckeyeCast.com. It's always Ohio against the world. You can get these shirts there, and it helps support the show, and I appreciate that. So let's get into it. Ryan Day was asked what was the biggest area of concern on defense. He said they didn't create any turnovers, they gave up too many explosive plays, and they lost the rushing battle. So more like three areas of concern right there. But I would say that part of losing the rushing battle is the lack of rushing attempts in the second half last game against Oregon. They only ran it 12 times in the second half. Now, part of that was due to the injury to Josh Simmons. So I get where he's going, though. They did allow a 100-yard rusher, and we don't allow that, around these parts. So talking about the quarterbacks, the quarterback, he said he was asked, what do you want Will Howard to take away from those lost 6 seconds? He said, when you're in that spot, there's a lot going on. With 6 seconds left, you have to get down pretty quick. So basically saying, the internal clock has to be faster. He said, you second guess everything when it doesn't work out. They worked the exact same situation twice last week in practice. So that way, when it comes up again, they'll be able to handle it better. And that's what you have to do, right? I mean, you gotta replay the scenario multiple times in practice. That way, maybe the quarterback gets a better idea of, oh crap, 6 seconds. I got to get down at like 4, not leave any doubt, not leave it to a referee's, slow stoppage of the clock or whatever, right? Because we saw the screenshots, everybody's seen them of Will Howard going down. 1 second is on the clock. Brandon Ennis is calling timeout right there next to Will. Ryan Day's on the sidelines calling timeout. So anyway, you got to practice that scenario and replay it. And, you learn from your mistakes, right? On the running backs, Quinshon Judkins' minor hand injury didn't impact him against Oregon. I would say it absolutely did. A D tackle ripped the ball out of his hands. You telling me the injury had nothing to do with that? Or shit. Anyways, Quinshon's feeling fine now, supposedly. So we'll see. Wide receivers said he's not happy with where the deep passing game is. We have to do a better job with it. And he said we'll be launching balls today in practice. So sounds like fun for the DBs and the receivers, by the way. O-line, left tackle Josh Simmons is confirmed out for the season with a knee injury. No specifics on exactly what that knee injury is, but Zen Michalski is your starter right now. He stepped in at Oregon and built up some confidence, Ryan Day said. Ryan Day said they see a veteran every day in practice from Zen Michalski. He knows what he's doing. He's prepared to play. He was ready. Was it perfect? No, but he's got good guys next to him that can help with communication. And when you go against Ohio State's defensive ends, you should be able to handle anything that comes your way. Um, they will rotate guys at left tackle to get additional looks. So they got to build up some depth there, right? So you're going to see, you could see some other guys if we get up big in this Nebraska game, which we should. You'll probably see some other guys in there at left tackle just to give them some reps. Um, but that's normal. He said that's normal in a week of practice to rotate different guys in there. So onto the tight ends. Will Kazmarek will be out for a little while, whatever the hell that means. He said they have depth there. He said Ryan Day said G. Scott has had one of his best games. Jelani Thurman, Bennett Christian have to step up. He said we knew this was going to happen. Keenan Bailey's done a nice job of building depth. Day said that Christian has made progress every step. He's been consistent in practice. His physicality is going to help him, and it's time for him to play anyway. So the question there really is what happens with Jelani. He's gotten limited snaps so far this year, like less than 10 a game, more like 6 or 8. So I'm curious what the plan is there for Jelani Thurman, because he's grading out pretty well in run blocking in his limited snaps. But anyway, on the defense, he went pretty deep. He was asked a lot of questions about the defense, and deservedly so. He said they identified what didn't work defensively against Oregon, and they have made some adjustments. Once all that settles, you realize that there's still a lot of football ahead. A lot of teams have taken a loss this season, and you learn from the loss, but you can't dwell on it. Yeah, everybody has lost except Oregon, really. I think their loss might be coming soon. He said the conversations when we hired Jim Knowles was he could do what he's done in the past if needed, but Ohio State has a 4-down base and the talent to make it difficult for the offense. He has made it known that they don't want a 4-man rush straight all the time. So bringing extra people occasionally, is his point there. Ryan Day said, I think we have the right people in the right spots. Then it comes down to scheme. They can do a better job of putting defenders in better places, better spots to succeed. He said he thinks it's a combination of scheme and better coaching. And that's what these coaches all say. They're never going to say, oh, it's the player's fault. That's how you end up like Hugh Freeze, right? You start blaming the players, you're going to get axed real quick. Ryan Day's been more involved with the defense more in the last week than he's been in the past. He was asked if he was happy with the pass rush. He said, I'm not happy about anything right now. They need to get home better with the pass rush. And then he was asked about Nick Saban's comments about the pass rush. Saban called the Ohio State pass rush scheme antiquated. Ryan Day said, when it doesn't work, it's accurate, and it's not working. There's a lot of different ways to do it. And when you have the results you have right now, certainly it's not working and it has to change. So that begs the question, are Jim Knowles and Larry Johnson on the same page on creating pressure? Ryan Day says, yes, for sure. He says the goal is to put the best 4 or 5 rushers on the field. He said, I've watched closely and I think they're on the same page. They've looked at everything. Nobody feels good right now. Everybody's on an edge, and you should be after a loss. I can't argue with that. He said there can be conversations in the meeting room, but once you leave the room, everybody is on the same page. He said you have to make sure you're talking the truth in those meetings and in those conversations. So basically yelling back and forth in a meeting room sounds like what's happening there. And you can't be holding back or pulling punches, or maybe you should throw some punches. I don't know. Might get things worked out faster. Anyways, Ryan Day was asked, how much faith do you have in Jim Knowles right now and why? He said, because I'm in the meeting room, I know what we need to get done and we're going to get it done. So pretty cut and dry. Seems like they know what's wrong. They know how to fix it, and they're going to fix it. We'll see. We've heard this song and dance before, right? I was thinking back to last year about this time. We were saying the same shit. Anyway, I've got a show tomorrow actually on some comparisons to the Buckeyes and the rest of the top defenses in the country and the pressure, how often they're blitzing. So check that out tomorrow on the Daily Blitz. Anyways, finishing up here with Ryan Day's press conference, he said he was asked, "Was there any conversation about giving Denzel Burke a series off against Oregon when he got roasted there a couple times?" He said there was a conversation, but you always make a decision on what helps you win the game in the moment. Um, he went on to say Denzel had a good week of practice last week. He'll rebound and play well this week. He said we probably have more depth at corner than we do at safety. So he was asked about the rumor of Lathan Ransom's injury. He was injured last week in practice, supposedly. He says he has no other updates on injuries right now. So stop asking. um, So he did say that Jalen McLean and Malik Hartford have done a nice job of stepping up as backups. Jordan Hancock and Lorenzo Styles Jr. could also be moved over to safety if needed. I think you're probably going to see Hancock moved over this week, anyways, because we're going to run a lot of 4-3 against Nebraska. So you're going to have an extra linebacker on the field, which you would, in most cases, bench Jordan Hancock. But since Ransom is out, move Hancock to the bandit where he covers tight ends and shit. So that leaves you with your 4-3, and you don't have to take Hancock off the field, who's one of the best Buckeye defenders on the team, in my opinion, overall. On Nebraska, Ryan Day said he was asked, "What do you like about Dylan Raiola, and can you remove the emotion about decommitments?" Obviously, Raiola decommitted a couple of years ago. Seems like I don't know, might have been a year ago. Anyway, um, he said that 14 of the starting quarterbacks in the Big Ten are transfers. That's weird. That's a weird answer for that question, right? To go to a transfer answer. So maybe he's maybe setting something up for later, like, hey, if you're not happy in Nebraska, we'll take you. I don't know. Anyway, he Ryan Day went on to say you have to adapt to it. You try to maintain as many guys as possible. As for Rayola, he's playing at a high level and has a great family. So avoided the answer kind of, but the transfer line there was interesting because Rail is not transfer at all. So I don't know. Anyway, okay, so that's Ryan Day. Let's talk a little Will Howard here. He had a few minutes with the media on the deep passing game. He said that's something we want to do. We want to push the ball downfield. They haven't done it a ton this season, and he enjoys throwing a deep ball. What quarterback doesn't? Um, he was asked how he feels physically. He said, good. It was a good week to recover a little bit. He was asked about the backlash of losing a game at Ohio State. He said, I'm almost glad that it happened now instead of later in the season because they can address things right now. We're trying to use this in the best way as a stepping stone. Everything is still in front of us. So I agree. All your goals are still there. Going undefeated does not get you anything, really, when you think about it. Going 12-0 doesn't do much for you. You still got to win Big Ten championship. Then you still got to, if you do that, you get the bye. But that's still in front of us. We can still play for the Big Ten championship, get that first round bye. So anyway, he was asked, have you replayed in your mind that last play? He said he saw the clock with 2 seconds and he got down. He kicks himself for it, but you can't allow that to happen again and affect them down the road. He said Zen Mahalski stepped up and did a really good job in that environment. Going forward, he's got to be the guy. He could probably be a starter at a lot of places. I would agree. He's going into he's in his fourth year right now. So He's done everything in the program, and he was a decent recruit too. Um, Will was asked about practice last week. He said you could feel it. It was a little pissed off. He was asked about Autzen Stadium. Where did that rank for him in environments? He said they brought it. It's a smaller stadium, but it's loud on the field. He said the fact that it was a good game and the entire time kept the fans in it. It was a tough environment because of the noise. And he was asked, why aren't you throwing a deep ball more? He said no reason in particular. Defenses are giving them stuff underneath. He said if the safeties are going to stay back, then you can't throw the deep ball. You take the intermediate stuff. That's one of the reasons they've been so good underneath. Defenses are trying to stay back and protect against the deep shots. So, one point about Nebraska, he mentioned that Nebraska runs a 3-3-5 defense, similar to what he saw in practice at K-State. So that'll bring some familiarity and hopefully good ideas and experience on how to beat that defense. So that's Ryan Day and Will Howard giving their opinions on the Oregon game and Nebraska a little bit. So that's all I got for you today. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the pass rush and some stats and stuff and compare to some of the other good defenses in the country and see how they stack up. So that's all I got for you today. Talk to you tomorrow. Go Bucks.